Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this session. This is going to discuss strategies to make webinars effective and engaging for youth. I know everyone's feeling zoomed out and getting a bit tired of webinars, but the reality is they're going to be here for good. So we got to make sure that when we're doing them, they're fun and we're getting youth involved and having a good time. So my first step to making sure that we have good webinars is your registration. You want to make sure that it's a clear value in it being live, right? If you're going to record it and people can see it after, why are they going to attend the real session? When we're creating the title, it's going to have keywords like interactive, live, Q&A, things that are going to make youth want to be there and attending in real time. Next up is we want to make sure we do a practice run. Everyone's had tech issues. It's hard to avoid them, and it's pretty likely that they'll come up at some point throughout your delivery. But the best thing that you can do is a lot of rehearsals. Be familiar with the platform that you're using. Even something like Zoom that is pretty straightforward and doesn't have a whole lot of glitches, you still want to be familiar with how to share screen and how to use the different functionality of the platforms you're using. The next thing is turning off notifications on your laptop. So we all have tons of notifications, whether it be from social media or your Outlook or Gmail. And the last thing you want is to be delivering a session and then you get an email notification popping up in the bottom right. Maybe it's confidential or maybe it's just a general email, but you don't want other students to be seeing that. So make sure all those notifications are off. So all they're seeing is the screen and everything's very clean for them. The next one is making sure that you start early. You may have a workshop that starts at 1 p.m., but that doesn't mean that you're actually going to start the broadcast at 1 p.m. Sign on 10 minutes early, do a little Q&A, get to know their names, get to know their background. You can put in some fun music in the background, maybe a popular song at the time, right? Use those tools to get them feeling comfortable, familiar with who you are, and just talking to folks. Think about it in a very similar way to being in person, right? When you're at a conference or a meeting, you don't just show up right at the time and immediately jump into the content. You want to have that space where you're getting to know the person, especially if you're a guest. So starting early is key. I would say anywhere from 10 and 15 minutes is extra good. Waiting music, another key piece. I always like to give a prize if someone is the first student to attend the webinar and ask questions and get involved. We have tons of swag available. So if you would like any Weed Out the Risk pens, we've got pop sockets, we've got a whole bunch of car fresheners. I mean, tons of swag. So if you would like any of that, we can give it out to you. All you have to do is pay for the shipping, but it's all free. So I would use that and say, hey, you were the first student to join. I'll let you pick which prize you'd want to have. So that's a really great strategy. And the next up is creating a poll. As students are logging on, they see questions there, and this poll can range from anything relating to the content. So being like, have you ever seen someone, drive high before and not know what to do about it? And you'd have like, yes, no, not sure, right? And allow them to start that conversation thinking about, all right, this is what we're going to be talking about today, and getting them familiar with what you're discussing. But you can also put in a fun question, if it's like a holiday or something, after Christmas break, you can say, did you enjoy your Christmas break or something like that. So think about any sort of relative question that will just help them get engaged and involved. All right. Now, that's everything you need to know from, the registration page to the very beginning. Now let's talk about once you've hit that mark, the broadcast has really started and the workshop is in session. What are the first few things that you're going to do to get them involved? Well, number one, you want to outline the structure. So do they know how long the session's going to be, right? Weed Out the Risk workshops are about an hour to max about an hour and 15 minutes. So let them know how long you're going to be talking for, how long the workshop's running, and when will the games be? When will the Q&A be? Can they ask questions at the beginning or do they have to wait until the end? Will they be muted the whole time? How do they verbally ask a question? How do they use the raise hand function, right? All of these online platforms have different ways of having the participants engage. outline to them how they can use those. They might not be as familiar with it. So outlining the structure of the workshop and how they can use different functions that the platform offers. In my beginning of my workshop, I'll always start by stating my name, of course. If you're a guest, it's an easy one to forget, but make sure you practice that. Don't forget to say your name. I say my pronouns, so I go by the pronoun she, her, and I talk a bit about your background. Keep in mind, if the youth don't know who you are, they will be wondering, who's this person speaking to me? What makes them qualified? So if you come from law enforcement, you can say, I come from a law enforcement background. I've been a police officer or a school resource officer for 10 years or 3 years, whatever it is, that makes you educated enough to discuss this topic, and really sets you aside. But with that, don't leverage that information to make you sound as if you know everything about the topic, because we all have gaps. None of us know everything, right? And so you can just speak to what your background is, but remember that they're also always going to have valuable information as well to share from their own personal experiences and whatnot. So explaining your background, and then we're going to move into a land acknowledgement. I always start by asking the students if they have one they would like to share. If you have a student in the class who's done a land acknowledgement before, maybe they're Indigenous, they'll be really excited to share what they've said before, or practice their land acknowledgement. And it's great to have a student get involved right off the bat. But if they don't have one that they want to share, provide yours. We do have a separate video that's going to discuss how exactly you can create your land acknowledgement in a really genuine and authentic way for the youth. So next up is looking at the middle of your workshop, right? The whole meat and potatoes. How do we make it really engaging and fun for them? Well, Weed Out the Risk is great in that we have tons of videos and games and activities for them to get involved. So those are kind of done for you already. But there's some extra things we can do on top of that to make the online section of it all much more fun. So first off is using props. One prop I really like to use is a whiteboard. I think, if you have kids in the house, or even if you go to the dollar store and, buy some whiteboard markers or something, you can get something like this, right? A really basic whiteboard. And whenever I'm talking about the difference between THC and CBD, I'll get my whiteboard marker and I'll make a Venn diagram, and I'll have the youth fill out what's in THC, what's in CBD, and right, what's that overlap. And so whiteboards can be a really good interactive tool for writing down ideas or questions they have, just something different for them to look at. And then, from what you can provide that's not a prop is really always offering your personal experiences. So whenever you share stories from your background about a situation that you've been in, whether you've felt peer pressure, you've seen someone, driving high, not knowing what to do about it, sharing those personal stories, youth, they really pick up, and they start to bring in that attention more so than just hearing, facts spewed out at them. So really using that. And then there's 2 online websites I would suggest using that are really good interactive tools. One is SLIDO, and with SLIDO, you have the participants asking questions and you can see all those questions. They can be anonymous, and it's very similar to what any platform like Zoom or GoToWebinar has already, but it has some fun chimey music to it. It's a different animation structure. It's just something different. So I think that can make it a more fun tool to use. And then there's also Kahoot. And Weed Out the Risk does have a Kahoot game that you can use. So I'm gonna send that to you. I'll put the link right up above, and you'll be able to use that and really take a look at, again, chimey, fun music and good questions that's all related to the content that's in the program. So that's it as far as the middle section of making your workshops engaging. The last part I'll say at the very end, we have that Q&A. How can we make that more effective? I find at the end when you ask, all right, does anybody have any questions? Sometimes you'll get a lot of feedback, and other times you just hear crickets. So what I like to do in those situations is have prepared a few questions that are commonly asked. Whether it be you just make up that somebody asked that question, or you say, I have these preset questions, you can use either of those. And I also like to leave that 5 minutes that the survey is supposed to be done. I say, stay on the webinar and just open up that survey link, right? And fill out the survey. And as they're filling it out, they might start to think of questions they have. So when they're done that 5 minutes of completing the survey, they might come back and say, oh, you know what? I actually do have this question. So giving them that space and time in the workshop to really fill out the survey and get those questions done. My final little piece of advice is always use names when possible. I know depending on your industry, you might want confidentiality between the participants, but generally speaking, if you're in a class and there isn't that issue, always try and use participant's name. Whether they're sharing something like a story or question, or you're calling on them, just use that first name, and it makes things much more personal and makes it more engaging. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure there's, a ton more strategies out there. And as we keep continuing to use virtual learning, we're still learning more and more tools. But I hope this was helpful and you feel ready to do your webinar.